And we are live. Hello and welcome to Forever Motorsports. The F1 season is back and we are in the Netherlands this weekend. Zandvoort is your destination this week, and it is the Dutch Grand Prix with Max Verstappen looking to try and win his first Grand Prix in a while. And it'll be his home Grand Prix as well. So a track and a circuit and a weekend. He has dominated a lot in the previous few years. In fact, if you go look at some of the results, for example, I think he's won the last three Dutch Grand Prix. So I'll go back and check that exactly, make sure that's correct. But I'm pretty sure that's about right. So if you go back to 2023, for example, and we want to go to the Netherlands, it was Max Verstappen. If you go to 2022 and we go to the Netherlands, it was also Max Verstappen. If you go back to 2021 and we go to the Netherlands, where's it gone? There's also Max Verstappen. We go back to 2020 and in the Netherlands, it was, I'm going to lie to you, yeah, so he's won 2021, 22, 23, and hopefully looking to try for him. Get back to winning ways and win 24. So welcome back to the channel. We are back after the break, and looking forward to having everybody back in the chat. And how was your guys' break, for example? You know, did you guys have a good break? Are you ready to get going? It looks like absolute torrid conditions over there, by the way. It's 19 degrees, 20%, 20 degree low apparently for the track temperature. But it is windy, it is rainy, it looks cheapers. The wind over there looks absolutely ridiculous. I mean, people are practically taking off from the ponchos and stuff like that. But plenty of F1 fans not being perturbed by the dreadful weather. They are in their numbers to try and support their home boy. And Max Verstappen very much looking to try and reward them with a good weekend. And for Red Bull, very important for them that they start getting back to winning ways, because they are very much starting to catch up the rest of the field. And the longer the season goes and the more competitive they become, the more Red Bull really have to work for this title. I'm just trying to make sure all our timing stuff like that are ready, and then we will move to our timing board stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it looks, you know, for someone who's sitting here in summer, well, going into summer, it's about to be spring. It's spring day next weekend, obviously. Very nice and warm conditions down here in South Africa. I'm actually wearing a jersey out of habit more than necessity. But I'm going to put a poll in the comments and ask who are you predicting, who will be fastest this weekend? Who will be the fastest team this weekend? And your options are going to be Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren. I'm not really going to give you another option, for example, because we all know that it will be one of those four teams. So let's not pretend it's not going to be. McLaren, obviously, they've really stepped things up. And in terms of the Constructors' Championship, are pretty hot on the heels, actually, of Red Bull. Because, you know, two things. First of all, because of the good form of both Lando Norris as well as Oscar Piastri, but also the really poor form that we've seen coming from Sergio Perez. So he really needs to step up his game. Does Checo, especially this weekend? You know, they've had a bit of a break. They've had an opportunity to try and sort of assess things and get things going. He'll be very aware of the fact that he is under a lot of pressure and that needs to have a strong return. He has been backed and by Red Bull, he will not be vacating his seat. So some people talked about the fact that he might yet have to give up his seat for the rest of the season, for example. Talks that Danny Ricciardo could step in, for example. Not going to happen. They have confirmed that Sergio Perez will continue to drive that Red Bull for the remainder of the season, instead of that man on sweet Danny Ricciardo. He needs a much better second half of the season than he did the first half of the season if he is to remain in Formula One for the future. Very, very wet conditions over there as the session is supposedly about to get underway. I don't know if we're going to get a little delay because of the conditions. Waiting to find out if that is exactly that is the case, for example. I mean, in theory, it has got 12:30, so in theory, the session should have started. I'm not, however, seeing a timer, and yeah, with the red, I wouldn't be surprised if we do slightly delay this. The nice thing about there's no Formula 1 and Formula 2 and Formula 3, for example, to worry about. So at least they can run things without having to worry about the remaining of the schedule. They do have times to work with. And lots of upgrades coming across this weekend. McLaren bringing a whole bunch of upgrades as well. And I mean, they've been so fast already. If they do bring some upgrades and they do start to work, then they can very much make up that 42-point gap, which is the current gap between Red Bull and McLaren. The gap between McLaren and Ferrari is 21 points. The gap between Ferrari and Mercedes is 79, and then a big almost 200-point gap. Now, Fernando Alonso is in the car, so there we go. The session has officially started. We do now finally have a clock. So we are already almost about 90 seconds into the session. Bono on screen there. So we're going to move into this view. There we go. Interesting news about him. He will not be following Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari. He has become, and we go Pierre Gasly, by the way, it's out on track. So we have him as well as Magnussen. But Bono has been promoted to head of race engineering. He will obviously still use his be in his role next season of with a actual driver, but at this stage will not. Well, we know he's not going to go to Ferrari. I'll be back in just a second. Apologies for that. Just making sure that our studios are all working, stuff like that. So we are ready to go. And we do, as I mentioned, we do have cars on the track, which is good to see in very, very wet conditions. I don't expect this to be phenomenally fast so far, given how bad the conditions are. But at least we do have a bit of action. So we do officially have our weekend underway, which is the main thing, you know. Hopefully the conditions do get a bit better as the weekend does progress. But for now, a lot of cars out there in very, very wet conditions. Sainz, Schwarzman, who is getting opportunity in that Kick-Sauber, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, and Gasly. Now, big news today, by the way, is that Jack Doohan has officially been announced as the other driver for Alpine for next season. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. Yeah, and the fact that they made that the decision is a pretty big one as well. So big moves being made. Well, big, not going to say a big risk, but an interesting decision to give him the drive there at Alpine. And we're already seeing, I think is that Haas off the track, by the way. So any mistake, I think that could be Magnussen who's off the track, struggling with the conditions early on. As you can imagine, I said they are absolutely dreadful. As the Sauber of Robert Schwarzman is going around. And you can see by the amount of water being kicked up there, it's really, really torrid, and it's going to be tough for any of these cars to really cope in these other conditions. As you can see on the screen over there, we do have some of the radios coming through, and which shows you exactly what some of the drivers are saying, and talking about a couple of the conditions, which are very tricky at the moment. Sainz and Zhou Guanyu, the only two cars active on the track, but I think Zhou is coming in. Sainz talking about clear pit lanes there, so we go. So He's coming in is the Ferrari. So at the moment, nobody out on track. I was trying to do a bit of a weather update for this weekend and see exactly what we kind of expected to see on Sunday for the race itself. Looks like a lot better weather at the moment. It's a high 21 degrees over there today. Tomorrow will go up to 24 degrees and less rain. And then Sunday looks like there'll be no rain. So it looks like it'll be a sunny race, but it looks like it's going to be quite a wet practice and qualifying session. What makes things interesting, actually, in terms of being really fast in the conditions that aren't going to be race conditions. Makes it difficult to kind of predict exactly what's going on. But let's do a bit of a check-in over here. Fluffy Al said it's my home GP2. Well, enjoy that. JP earlier saying, I thought Red Bull would be strong this weekend, but looking at the upgrades, I think McLaren will take it. The Angry Noob saying, hello, good morning, TCC. Welcome back to everybody. It's been a while watching Carlos Sainz take quite a bit of curbs over there. And in the comments over there, you can see we have put some of the upgrades. So McLaren have brought 6 upgrades, of which 4 are performance updates and 2 are circuit-specific one. And they're having a revised front suspension, rear suspension, and floor edge. Red Bull, on the other hand, they fitted 2 performance updates, the halo and the mirror stays, 1 circuit-specific update. Haas brought 4 performance upgrades. Williams have 5 performance updates, and not too many other upgrades. And nothing new from Mercedes, Ferrari, Aston Martin, and Sauber. So we're interested to see how those upgrades do affect the Red Bull as well as the McLaren. The other teams, no performance updates just yet, so they have to rely on the sort of pace that they had for the break, as well as maybe any lessons that they learned during the break. In theory, not supposed to be working on their cars during the break, but I mean, we all know that they would looking at lots of data, looking at different setups, trying to find out how to get every last possible a tenth of a second out of it as Carlos Sainz goes around corner number 13. They're coming into turn 14 now. It's that nice sort of banked curve. Before he comes out and evens out onto that home straight. Here he comes into the pits as well as Carlos Sainz. So nobody out on track at the moment. We've not seen, in fact, we haven't seen a lot of the field out there. So the Gasly, Axel, Hulkenberg, Schwartzman, Sainz, and Zhou Guanyu, the only cars who've actually been out and seen what is happening over there. Probably the most successful team at Zandvoort. They've got 8 victories here, so very much a circuit where they have dominated, but that has been a while since they've kind of had that dominance. As we mentioned, Max Verstappen has won this race the last 3 years. That's fact the last 4 years, I think we looked checked. So we expect to see the Dutchman continue to dominate at his home Grand Prix as we sort of go into about the first 10 minutes of the practice. Look at the wind there, some of the flags. They're showing just how bad the conditions are. The McLarens, they don't even have their drivers in the car. They're Oscar Piastris. Looking at some data on the screens over there. No movement really from Lando Norris either. So it could be a while before we see some more cars out on the track. That bright red McLaren, which is suddenly starting to find some podiums, as well as a couple of victories as well. So you can see not too many, we actually don't have really any lap times coming in from any of the cars just yet. So no official times yet. If you look at previous editions, for example, to try and give us a bit more information on what's happened, let's go have a look at 2023 in terms of the race itself, as well as what qualifying was. So the fastest time, the race itself was Max Verstappen, by the way, who took the race. If we look at the qualifying, though, the fastest time in qualifying was a 1:10.563 from Max Verstappen. And so that kind of gives you the idea of the kind of times we'll hopefully start to see by tomorrow afternoon. Although, with these wet conditions, might not be as fast as expected. Again, very, very tricky now to negotiate 2 days of wet for a very dry day of racing. You sort of set your cars up very differently for the wet and the dry and stuff like that. So it's kind of weighing it up, isn't it? You know, in terms of what really wants to be competitive in the wet and making sure that you qualify well, but as well as making sure that you can get as much information as possible to try and set your car properly for what will be dry conditions there. We are looking at Lando Norris currently sitting there out to half his race suit on. No, it doesn't seem to be in any sort of rush to get into his car either. So it could be a while before we see any of the action from the McLarens. To answer the question, Jason asking, has Lewis' replacement been confirmed yet? Not yet. There is still a seat available at Mercedes. So we're waiting to see. Lots of people talking about the fact that it could be Kimi Antonelli, and that has not been confirmed just yet. What we have got confirmed is that Jack Doohan will join the Alpine lineup, and then just for the break, we also had the confirmation that Carlos Sainz will be off to Williams next year. Busy looking at the bright green orange of the Kick Sauber, the big hashtag unleashed on the back of the rear mirror. On the back wing. It would be very cool that, for example, that hashtag unleashed, if it wasn't for the fact that most of the time people only ever see that when they're being lapped. Now, watching a couple of bit of windsurfing, I mean, those waves look horrible. Absolutely horrible out there. Yeah, murky waters, overcast conditions, grandstands not full. They'll fill up as the weekend goes by, and expect to see a big Orange Army contingent. Right now, we've got a Logan Sargent who's going to come out here and spend a bit of time on a very, very wet track. It'll be interesting to see his Charlotte Leclerc as well. So also going to follow him out. A couple more cars back over as we enter the next phase of the first practice. We're about 12 minutes into it. What was very interesting last year about the qualifying is how much the times changed between sessions. You know, the first Q1, the fastest lap was 120.96 from Max Verstappen. Q2, 118, and then all the way down to 110 in Q3. So it got a lot faster as conditions got a bit better, and that's kind of the times we will probably see on Sunday in the more clear weather. So yeah, interesting to see how these cars go. I think the first two practices today will be not particularly eventful. I don't think we'll see too much indication, for example, of how these cars are going to perform and who's going to be really dominant. I think a lot of this will just be kind of almost going through the motions. Frustrating for somebody like a Schwartzman, for example, is getting opportunities. So Alex Albon, by the way, has gone out as well. So both Williams out there on the track. We have yet to see any sort of cars actually record a proper hot lap as well. And still only those three cars out on the track. We haven't seen any movement from Verstappen, Ricciardo, Norris, Perez, either the Aston Martins, Yuki Tsunoda, Alexander Albon, either the Mercedes, as well as Oscar Piastri. They all remain in their pits, trying to keep warm, trying to keep dry. And hopefully we'll see them out a little bit later. Hello, Lindiwa, how are you? And it'll be well. And Jason saying, what about Saudi? It says, Sauber and Audi. No confirmation yet of those seats. I think those are the other seats as well that haven't been confirmed. I've got a graphic somewhere. Where's my graphic that had all the different drivers? Yeah, so we've got Hulkenberg confirmed for Sauber, but nobody next to him. We're still waiting to hear he's going to join Oliver Behrman at Haas. We're still waiting to see who's going to be in the other RB. We've now got confirmation that Jack Doohan will join Pierre Gasly, and there was confirmation before the break that Albon will be joined by Carlos Sainz at Williams. So we still need to find a driver for RB, for Haas, as well as Sauber. So 3 seats, sorry, as I said, it's 4 seats available out of 16. There's still quite a lot of to decide. And not that much time, really, as we go into sort of the second half of the season. We're already into almost the end of August. September coming up next weekend. So this is where things are really going to heat up with regards to driving lines being confirmed for next season. The championship might be heating up in terms of the Constructors' Championship. Don't think we're going to see much change in the Drivers' Championship, at least at the top. I think that we might see more change, more sort of competition behind Max Verstappen. But I do think that he will go on to win it. Meanwhile, Christian Horner has denied that Max Verstappen was an option to Mercedes, saying that he was never an option for them to lose him, and Mercedes, despite showing interest, were never going to get him there. They're talking about how long he's going to continue racing Max Verstappen, because he spoke about the fact that maybe he's not going to race to his late 30s. So at the moment, his contract runs out in 2028, which is 4 years. He's 26 years old. That takes him to being 30. He makes his 200th start in Zandvoort, and he says the following. In my mind, at the moment, I'm not thinking about a new contract. I want to see how it goes and see the new regulations to see if it's fun or not. Even in 2026, 2027, there's a lot of time to decide what happens. I keep everything open and I'm quite easygoing about it. I mean, to be fair, he's not wrong in terms of it. You know, he wants to be funny. He needs to enjoy his Formula One. You know, he's made so much money. It's not like he needs it financially to continue racing until 45. Nobody really does if you're racing for a top team. But about the competitiveness, isn't it? And I think that probably for me will keep him going more so than enjoyment. You know, he'll want to go and break records, set records, finish as the greatest Formula One driver statistically ever. But Charles Leclerc is currently the only car out on track. He has set a fastest first sector. Doesn't really mean much, to be perfectly honest, given the fact that he's the only one that's actually set a lap time, and it was a 154.504. Yeah, it's very, very slow to what we sort of expected to see as the weekend goes on. Obviously, the more I don't know if it's actually currently raining or if it's just all the rest of the residue. It doesn't look like it's currently raining. And there he goes, the 126.530. His first hot lap of the day there. So still quite far away from where we expect to see these times go tomorrow. But he has officially set the first lap of the session. That's coming after almost 18 minutes. Hulkenberg has gone and joined the Monegasque on the track. Julia's just saying, finally, F1 is back. And Jason saying, Daniel should go to Mercedes, Lawson to Visa Cash RB, Joe Stay to Salva. I think Boss will retire and De Alonso come back to F1. I'll be very surprised if Danny Rick goes to Mercedes. I think they'll promote internally and go with Antonelli personally. Obviously, it'd be nice to see Daniel Ricciardo stay in Formula One. We all enjoy watching him. But I think until he starts showing his ability and his talent in that car at the moment, then I don't think he's going to get a drive at this stage next season. Nico Hulkenberg, they're struggling a little bit on the track, but they're going well wide and into gravel. That's not ideal for him, showing exactly how difficult the conditions are here. As he goes around there, just can't, there's just no grip whatsoever. He ends up going straight through the corner. And obviously, with the conditions being so bad, really difficult to get the tires heated up and get that grip into them so they can handle these corners at the sort of speeds they are doing them. Replays there showing how much water is being kicked up by those tires. I mean, it's absolutely sopping up. So once again, still Charles Leclerc after almost 20 minutes of the first practice that actually has a lap time. George Russell, by the way, has decided he's going to go out and see what the fuss is about. So he's on the track as well. So 3 cars currently out on the track. We might start seeing a few more in the next few minutes, I think. The wind at the moment currently sitting at 30.6 kilometers per hour. Absolutely belting out there. Not fun conditions, and definitely would not be a fan if I was there. We've got a poll running in the comments. So who do you think is going to be the fastest team this weekend? 20 votes so far. Go and make sure you vote on that at the moment. Red Bull being back to the fastest car this weekend. Then Ferrari, then McLaren, then Mercedes. Interesting. Not sure I backed the Ferrari shout. Mostly because I'm just a very upset Ferrari fan where I just want us to be dominant. Not even be dominant, just be competitive once again. And we just, I don't know when it's ever going to happen, if it's ever going to happen. Hulkenberg once again going well wide. And you can just see, the visibility over there must be next to nothing. Next time, thankfully, he goes wide enough that there is a bit of a runoff area, and he manages to get back on the track without having to go through the gravel. Now, George Russell is out, and he needs to try to put some heat into that tires, and then he can start putting in a couple of times as well. start seeing exactly how fast Mercedes is. I think that is him going on to potential hot lap there. George Russell, the first driver to be disqualified from a race victory since Michael Schumacher at the 1994 Belgium Grand Prix. Not ideal, was it? Car being overweight and having that victory stripped from him, and frustrating for him, isn't it? I mean, to get maximum points in a race and then having the race title taken away from you, end up with no points, and you yourself as the driver's done nothing wrong, but your team letting him down on that occasion. And Lando Norris, by the way, has come out onto the track as well. So, as I mentioned, a couple more teams getting out here and seeing the conditions, which I think looking a little bit clearer. I don't think it's currently raining. I think it's obviously still a very wet track. But if it's not currently raining, then as the session goes by and the more of these drivers all drive along the exact same racing line, the more it'll dry up a little bit. It's always an interesting sort of overhead when you see the track and you see sort of how dry those areas are, where they drive. Currently, the fastest lap of the day is 126.11. Alkenberg, by the way, has clocked a hot lap of 127.60. George Russell's got a green first, second sector, as you'd imagine, in his first lap. And we wait to see exactly what he's going to come across in. And he's going to go second fast, the 126.828. Does go faster than Hulkenberg, not quite as quick as Charles Leclerc, who has returned to the pits. And Lando Norris has just come out, so he'll still be trying to put some heat into those tires and try and find a bit of grip before he gets himself onto a hot lap. But I think that would be interesting when he does get into a decent lap, what kind of time he is. And that kind of give an indication with those McLaren upgrades. We're going to see some immediate response. Watching the replay there, all the sparks flying off the back of George's car. Skidding around the corner as well. I have to sit there and try and actually count how many advertising logos are on these cars. I mean, it's absolutely mental. If you ever want to see a sport where it's every single last inch of a car is being used for marketing purposes, it is Formula One. Massive Ineos in the back wing there. You've got Team Viewer in the front. You've got Hill there on the left side of the front nose. Those are just some of the camera angles. So we almost need to count them, actually. So I'm going to get a pen and see if I can count how many you can count on Mercedes. We can make a bit of a game of this. So obviously we've seen Ineos and Sinel there. Team Viewer. Right, now I do know some of the other ones. I mean, RWC, for example, is obviously there. There'll be an AG logo. So there'll be lots more other logos, but I'm actually going to just write them down as we see them. Also going to do the same thing for McLaren. We're going to create a bit of a game out of this, given the fact that there aren't a lot of action at the moment. So obviously Google's a big sponsor of McLaren, as is DP World. What else can we see? X, KX. Oscar Piastri, by the way, has joined in the action as well. Both McLarens out on the track. Neither of them having set a lap time just yet. 7:11 on the McLaren car as well. It actually makes a bit of a. It almost makes a bit of a game. Actually, you guys also let me know which logos you've seen on the cars as well. There's an IWC on Mercedes, which I've just put it down there, which you've just seen. So yeah, if you guys also want to make it a bit of a game, let's try and spot the sponsor. Not too much action at the moment. We're looking at the car of Daniel Ricciardo. I don't think he's in it just yet. Doesn't look like anybody's in the car at the moment, so he's not coming out anytime soon. And Piastri, by the way, looks to be on a hot lap at the moment. So the first hot lap coming from the McLaren's coming in very shortly. And the fastest second sector there for Oscar Piastri. So we're interested to see what kind of time he does put in. He eventually crosses that line for a proper hot lap. Lando Norris now also on a hot lap with the second sector. Let's see what they're going to come through in. So both McLarens now currently on hot laps. Although it looks like Piastri pulled out of his. Let's see what Lando Norris can now. No, he's also going to pull out. He's going to come into the pits. So we won't get official times out of them. I'm seeing 7-11. I'm seeing Crow. I'm seeing Halo RT. I'm seeing a smart digital technologies of 2 or 3 logos there. Actually, probably need to write down. Now, Max Verstappen is in his car. He's got tires on as well. He doesn't have his gloves on though. So we are going to see some laps from Max Verstappen very shortly. We've got the 2 Aston Martins out, as well as Sergio Perez, and some blue skies as well over the track. So as mentioned, it was horrible conditions at the beginning. I think these have improved quite substantially. In terms of the rain, we are expecting it to abate for the rest of the day. So I think we will have a dry session later this evening. It's not going to be particularly warm. It'll be about 20 degrees, so it's going to get a lot warmer throughout the rest of the weekend in theory. But it will be dry at least later. The wind, however, is also going to pick up a little bit. Well, it actually dropped. It was 50 kilometers an hour when the session started. But that's going to drop down later. And by the time we get back for the second session, it should be about half of that. No rain, and temperatures being a little bit warmer, actually, I think, probably than they currently are at the moment. So expect to see much similar conditions in the second session than what we've got currently in this first free practice of the weekend. And we do have some lap times coming in over here. Hopefully very soon. We've got Sergio Perez, Lance Stroll, and Fernando Alonso out there. Carlos Sainz was out earlier. And you can see most of these cars not actually putting them in the lap. They're kind of just sort of coming into the pits as they get around towards that the final back straight. It's a very long straight. Well, kind of after that arch sort of corners of corner 13, 14, which is sort of rounded. Right, here comes the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. Interesting. He's come on some pair of inters here, has Max Verstappen. There is supposedly rain coming in 2 minutes, apparently. Everybody else are on wet tires. But he's come out to the intermediates. So not sure if Red Bull knows something they don't know, or they're trying to get him out for 2 laps, then get him back in before the rain does settle in. Fernando Alonso's out there. Is he going to finish his lap, or he's going to come in? We did see the pit crew there, and he does come into the pits indeed. Almost about half an hour into the session, Verstappen is out there on a pair of inters. Carlos Sainz currently sitting outside his car, so we're not going to see him in the next couple of minutes.